Some stories break you, some heal you. But here at My 90s Love Story, we're here to fill your heart. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. After all these years since graduation, I never imagined I'd see Ethan Cole again like this. Balancing a platter of fruit, I ducked my head, afraid he'd catch a glimpse of my face. Vanessa Blake sat beside him, the two of them polished and gorgeous, the kind of couple that looked like they belonged on a magazine cover. I was the help. Ethan told me to cut the oranges into small pieces. I turned my back to him and sliced the fruit into little wedges. Back then, I loved eating oranges. And Ethan always cut them small for me. He cut them so neatly, every piece even. Perfect. In those days, I thought it meant he loved me. Only later did I understand it was just a habit of his. When Ethan cut an orange, he wanted everything tidy. He just didn't need me. 4 years apart felt like half a lifetime. I don't know why, but the guests started talking about school day romances. Someone said, "I heard Director Cole had a girlfriend back in college." 4 years, wasn't it? My hands went still. Ethan gave a single low, Wow, 4 years, that's the whole of college. Ethan didn't answer. The man, sensing the awkwardness, changed the subject. 4 years together, that's hard to forget, huh? The silence stretched like a still river. I don't know how much time passed before Ethan laughed under his breath. Not that hard. That he doesn't hate her is already a lot, Vanessa said, calm and even. Ethan and I go all the way back to high school. Those years were so hard on him. If that ex of his hadn't kept tripping him up, we'd have gotten together long before now. Exactly. Vanessa's a famous artist. No matter how good the ex was, she could never compare. The mood in the room lifted again. I tugged the brim of my cap low, wanting nothing more than to get out of there. The knife slipped and bit into my hand, and I yelped, drawing every eye in the room. "You can't even cut fruit properly?" Vanessa snapped. "I'm sorry, let me bring a fresh plate." I lifted the platter and turned to hurry off. "Wait." Ethan's voice stopped me cold. He ground out the words one by one. "Turn around." I stood rooted to the spot. 1 second. 2. Right then, the shift lead came bustling over. "So sorry, everyone. She's new, still learning the ropes. All the fruit is on the house today, our treat." She winked at me. "Well, go get another plate." I fled. Afterward, she told me, "Next time something like that happens, you have to think on your feet. Everybody starts out new, but if a guest complains about you, you could end up working tonight for free." Thank you. Don't mention it. And be extra careful in that VIP room. It's full of important guests. Especially that young man, the handsome one. He owns some new tech company. We can't afford to cross him. I'm a little scared. "Could you carry this orange plate over for me?" She said yes. I let out a breath. If there was anyone in this world who had ever wronged Ethan Cole, it was me. I was the hateful ex he talked about. I still remember freshman year. Ethan stood among the new students in old clothes, washed pale, and you could see the poverty on him at a glance. You could also see how unbreakable he was. I loved the cold, level way he spoke. I loved the way his thin eyelids drooped a little when he looked at me. Ethan desperately needed money. The hardship grant for struggling students had been snatched away by someone connected to the head teacher. So after evening class, I cornered him like a wolf, like a tiger, and blurted it out. "Ethan, I like you. Date me. I've got plenty of money. We can share living expenses. And if that's not enough, I'll pay you for every kiss." Of course, he turned me down. But my life until then had been too smooth. I didn't yet know what failure felt like. The harder he refused, the more stubbornly I clung to him. Until his grandfather, the man who had raised him single-handedly, fell gravely ill. And I paid the hospital bills without a second thought. In the end, Ethan had to lower his head to me. I foolishly thought I'd done him a great favor. It was only much later that I finally understood. I got him, yes, but I also ruined him. After we started dating, he still went out every day to earn his own keep. He wouldn't touch my money. And things only got worse. Rumors began to spread around school about Ethan, that he'd sold himself for cash. The way people looked at him slowly changed. Some of them even gave him ugly nicknames. Back then, I was still so bright-eyed and naive. I held his hand and said, "Ignore them, they're just jealous." I lived in my ivory tower, with no idea that Ethan was fighting his battles all alone. Senior year, my family went bankrupt. I didn't tell Ethan. I just called him out and said, "Let's break up." Why? I'm bored. And just like that, we broke up. I told myself he was probably relieved because at last he was free. The day we broke up, I snapped my SIM card, deleted every app, and got on a train to another city to work off the debt. It wasn't until 3 months ago that I finally came back here. It seemed Ethan was doing very well for himself. He'd always been brilliant. In college, he was the kind of all-department genius everyone talked about. Only a few years out, and he was already the head of a red-hot startup on the cover of an economics magazine. Vanessa Blake had been the beauty of our class. She'd broken into show business in junior year, and now she was a famous artist. I never expected the two of them would fall in love. Good, that's good. I pressed a hand to my chest against the ache inside. At 4 in the morning, I clocked out. I was the last one to leave. My coworkers had assumed no one was left and shut off the lights long ago, and the elevator had gone dark and still. Frustrated, I jabbed the elevator button, hoping it would flicker back to life. Then, out of nowhere, Ethan's voice drifted from behind me. I went stiff and pretended to call a coworker. The elevator doors slid open. Ethan and I stood together in that cramped little box. "Everyone works this late?" he asked, indifferent. "We can't leave until all the guests have gone." "Good money?" "It's all right." I bowed my head, the brim of my cap hiding my face. It seemed Ethan didn't recognize me. He made a few idle remarks, then glanced at his watch. "The elevator's really slow here. My girlfriend must be getting anxious. She's very clingy, likes to be pampered." I froze, and it dawned on me that he was talking about Vanessa. "What about you? Off this late and no boyfriend to come pick you up?" "I live nearby." The doors opened on the ground floor, and I bolted. Ethan, so calm until now, finally erupted. "Run! Where do you think you can run to now? Vanish like you fell off the face of the earth. Was that fun?" He closed in on me, step by step. He was still the boy from my memories, only with less of the rawness now, replaced by something steadier and more restrained. "Delete your account, cancel your number. Even the teachers couldn't track you down. You're really something." I slowly lifted my head to meet his eyes. "You must have used your connections to dig around, too. My family went bankrupt. My father's been in ruin ever since, and the debt still isn't paid off. Why wouldn't you tell me back then?" I was silent. Was it out of shame? Before I could finish the thought, Vanessa walked up. "Emily, is it really you?" She was far more beautiful than she'd been in college, lovely down to every strand of hair. "Long time no see. Everyone's been looking for you. 4 years and not a word. How could you?" "I went down south." "No wonder." Vanessa's eyes swept over my clothes, and she said in surprise, "Isn't that the down jacket you bought junior year? It's all faded. You're still wearing your old things?" "I throw mine out after a single season." Was she trying to embarrass me? But I didn't care anymore. "It's not worn out, still good to wear." "Life must be hard for you these days," Vanessa said. "You should have said something. Old friends would help." She pulled out a card. "Here, take this and use it. No need to pay it back." "Thank you, but I don't need it." I looked at her, then at Ethan, and gave a quiet smile. "I'm getting married soon. Don't forget to come." Ethan looked stunned. Working at the lounge was only my side gig. In the mornings, I had another job. That Monday, a client was coming to the company and everyone was buzzing. Word was this one was some kind of genius who'd just built a new system. And he was here looking for someone. Looking for who? For his ex-girlfriend. My eyelid twitched and a bad feeling came over me. Has he found her? Who knows? The system isn't finished yet. The bosses have poured a fortune into it, though. Huge future in it. Our boss wants to partner up this time. I straightened my documents and walked to the reception room. Ethan's voice carried through the door. About the partnership, I need to think it over some more. I pushed the door open and set the documents on the table. Ethan's eyes lit up. Why are you working here? This is my day job. My boss asked, curious. Emily, you know Director Cole? I thought for a moment. We've met. That's all. Just met. Ethan lost his temper again, and I couldn't figure out what he was so angry about. He pointed at me. I'll sign the contract on one condition. Emily comes to work as my assistant. My boss agreed on the spot. He didn't even give me a chance to argue. They talked business all day long. At dusk, I grabbed my bag and left right on time. Ethan blocked my path. Where are you going? I never said you could leave. Director Cole, I can't work overtime today. I have somewhere to be. Where? I have to go deliver food. Ethan stared at me in disbelief. I used to be a pampered little princess who'd never once touched a takeout box. In college, the moment class let out, Ethan would run off to deliver food, and his own dinner was always the company's cheap boxed meal. Once I went looking for him and found him in a cramped little room, crammed in shoulder to shoulder with the other couriers, eating out of a paper box. I said, Ethan, why are you eating this? It isn't clean at all. He didn't much care whether it was clean. Does it matter? Come on, let's go eat steak. I dragged him to a newly opened Western restaurant, where a single meal ran over $500 a plate. He stood frozen outside the door for a long moment, then quietly peeled off his delivery uniform. After my own family fell apart, I finally understood how he'd felt that day. Just like today. Snow blanketed the sky and the roads were slick. I slipped and fell, spilling the food, and when I called the customer to explain, I got an earful. Don't give me excuses, late is late. I rubbed my scraped, stinging palm, the skin split and raw, and I didn't even care. I just kept apologizing. Then, out of nowhere, Ethan appeared and lifted my bike upright. I had no idea how long he'd been there, or how long he'd been watching. Without thinking, I hid my hand behind my back. Stop hiding it. His voice was hoarse, the rims of his eyes red. Go wash it now. I have to deliver the food. Get on, I'll take you. The customer lived on the ground floor. When I handed over the food, he muttered, Guy drives a Porsche and still runs deliveries? I meant to pick up the next order. Ethan said, Don't. I can't. I've barely earned anything today. Then what do I have to buy? Ding. His system automatically accepted my order. I'm buying your time tonight. Ethan drove me back to his place. I stood in the entryway and refused to go in. Vanessa will be angry. You've still got the energy to worry about someone else? Ethan said. Look at the state you're in from that fall. Besides my scraped hand, the melting snow had soaked me filthy all over. And Emily, take a look at this apartment. Does it look like a woman has ever lived here? You two don't live together. We were never dating. Ethan tossed a contract at me. Half a year ago, she came to me proposing a partnership. She didn't want to get tangled up in the industry's dirty rules, so she asked me to play her boyfriend. And in return, she'd help me deal with the difficult clients. He paused, as if worried I wouldn't understand, and explained further. Some clients like to send women straight to your bed. They think everyone enjoys that. I found it a nuisance, so Vanessa handles all of that for me. The contract spells it out plainly. Neither of us interferes in the other's private life. Ethan took my hand and began cleaning the wound. I noticed an unopened tube of hand cream on the shelf. It was the brand I used to use. Ethan had bought the whole set and kept it here. I asked your coworker today, he said quietly. You don't have a boyfriend? Last week you said you were single. Emily, you're lying to me on purpose, aren't you? I'm not lying. Then show me a photo of the two of you. We don't take photos together. Someone who loves taking pictures as much as you, and you don't have a single one with your new love? You've reminded me. I'll take one next time. I'd goaded him into an exasperated laugh. Then suddenly, he braced a hand on the sofa and caged me in, the whole weight of him bearing down until I couldn't move. Even through a layer of clothing, I could feel the warmth of his body. I bought your time. Do you know what I want to do with it? I'll pay you back the money, Ethan. I really am getting married. His hand slid from my shoulder down to my wrist and stopped. Getting married? And still wearing the bracelet your ex gave you? That makes no sense. The bracelet on my wrist had dulled with the years. It was the first gift Ethan ever gave me, the year I turned 19. For a whole week, I'd barely laid eyes on him. He was working every job under the sun, trying harder than he ever had. On my birthday, my father had reserved a Western restaurant and thrown me a party. I told Ethan, but he didn't come. I waited and waited all the way into the night until, at last, his call came through. He said he was waiting outside the restaurant. Snow fell white that day. My boy stood tall and straight as a pine, dusty like I am now, his yellow delivery uniform caked with mud. I didn't understand any of it back then. I only scolded him. Why are you so late? Ethan ruffled my hair and gave me my birthday present. The bracelet was a plain, basic style, not expensive, but it was well beyond what he could afford. I loved it and slipped it onto my wrist right away, and I never took it off. Then my parents called out, asking who I was talking to. They didn't like Ethan. They thought he wasn't good enough for me. When I turned back around, Ethan had vanished into the swirling snow. These days, when I look back, I think, at least the Ethan of 19 once loved me, didn't he? This bracelet was the fruit of his labor, day and night. Did he, like me tonight, struggle and fall in the snow and keep pushing on, all for the sake of this bracelet? But what about now? He pinned me down in his home, surrounded by all the luxuries I used to use. Was he still holding on to me, or was he humiliating me? I couldn't make sense of it, and before I knew it, my eyes had gone red. Ethan went blank, then flustered. He'd always thrown up his hands in surrender at my tears, exactly like the past. He clumsily wiped them away. Don't cry, it's my fault. I only wanted to scare you. Today is your 26th birthday. I bought you a new bracelet. What? I'd even forgotten today was my own birthday. Ethan took out a brand new gift box. See if you like it. He reached to slip the old bracelet off my wrist. Emily, we can still... Before I could finish, the doorbell rang. Marcus Vaughn stood outside, a cigarette dangling from his mouth. Where's Emily? I'm here to pick her up. Who are you? I'm her fiancé. She didn't tell you? Ethan looked as if the life had drained out of him. The bracelet slipped from his fingers and fell to the floor. I left with Marcus. He didn't open the car door for me, but he chain-smoked one cigarette after another until I was choking on the fumes. Marcus and I had known each other before. When my family went bankrupt, he'd confessed to me. But back then, all my attention was on Ethan, and I turned him down again and again. Then last week, he suddenly showed up. Marcus said that if I married him, he'd pay off my debt. I asked why. He said smugly, I want to prove that you chose wrong back then. The only person who can save you is me. That penniless nobody just held you back. So he wanted to marry me purely for his own hero complex, treating me like a piece on a chessboard. How absurd. Today, I'd had no choice but to ask him for help. A phone call would have been enough. I'd planned to make some excuse and slip away. I still don't know how he tracked down my home. I said coldly, Why would you pretend to be my fiancé? What's the difference? We're getting married anyway. I never agreed to that. You have another choice? Are you stupid? Wake up. Buried in debt like you are, who'd marry you? Whoever did would just be cursed with bad luck. Besides me, who else even wants you? The man just now? Marcus sneered. That dirt-poor college boyfriend of yours? Let me tell you something. He came back to humiliate you back then you had him cornered. And he didn't dare fight back. Now that you're down on your luck, who knows? Maybe he's laughing at you behind your back. Even if that's true, it's none of your business. How is it none of my business? Back then, he stole my woman. Now you won't even let me get back at him? Marcus, I'm not your property. I didn't agree to you before, and I never will. I got out of the car. Marcus didn't stop me. Agree or not, you'll say yes in the end, Emily. Think about your family. That arrogant face of his, for some reason, brought the past rushing back. Was this how the gossips who mocked Ethan had looked? In Ethan's heart, had I once been a person like this? My friends found out I was back, and they knew about my family's situation. My old roommate Mandy got back in touch. She was getting married, and she asked whether I'd be her maid of honor. It had once been a promise between us. Whoever married first, the other would stand as her maid of honor. On the wedding day, a whole crowd of old classmates came. I'd added everyone back on my phone. Mandy, in her wedding dress, blinked back tears. Emmy, I always thought you'd be the first of us to get married. If I marry, who's going to be my maid of honor then? You still have the nerve to say that? 4 years without a peep. I could just kill you. My fault, my fault. I won't go anywhere ever again. I'll stay right here and confess all my sins to you. Mandy burst out laughing. Why did you drop off the map like that? If things were hard, you should have said so. We could have helped you. I looked down at my toes, thought for a while, then poured out everything I'd carried through those years. In my whole life, I'd never faced anything so hard. Mandy, you know what? My life was basically over. I didn't know what to do anymore, and I couldn't bear to look anyone in the eye. Even pity stabbed at me. It got to be too much, so I cut off contact with everyone. Mandy sighed. Ethan nearly went out of his mind looking for you. What? I froze. You didn't know? He tried everything, the teachers, the school. He almost went to the police. He was a poor student. He didn't have many connections back then. When he couldn't find you, he went to your house. Mandy watched my face. You know how terrified he was of your parents. But he worked up all his courage and went anyway, only to find your whole family gone. Even your parents were nowhere to be found. That was the first time I ever saw Ethan fall apart. He sat down outside your gate and sobbed. Later, he heard you might have gone south, so he went to look for you, but he couldn't find a trace. Where on earth were you? I answered slowly. Guangzhou, Guiyang, Kunming, so many places. With debt collectors after us, my whole family changed our names, and we moved every couple of weeks. No wonder he couldn't find you. Mandy clicked her tongue. Anyway, in the end, he came back to the capital in complete despair and threw himself into building that data system to find people. I didn't understand. I'd always thought Ethan couldn't have cared less whether I stayed or left. Senior year, before graduation, I'd even overheard him talking with his roommate. The other guy asked him, "What are you going to do after graduation? Marry Emily?" And Ethan had said flatly, "No." That day, I took a huge blow. Not long after, my family declined, and when I said we should break up, he didn't try to hold on to me, but searching everywhere for me. What was that about? You only regret it once it's gone. I was still in a daze when Mandy tossed her bouquet. Distracted, I didn't catch it, and it landed right in Ethan's hands. Well, now this gentleman caught the bouquet. Congratulations, congratulations. Good things are on the way. Will you be giving it to your girlfriend at home? No need to make it complicated. Ethan walked straight over to me and held out the flowers. The whole room erupted, cheering loud enough to lift the roof, and even Mandy was whistling. I couldn't accept them, and I couldn't refuse them either. Ethan, you've met my fiancé, even if he's fake. I don't believe your judgment of people is that bad. Then just assume my judgment is bad, because he's real. Ethan leaned in and put his mouth close to my ear. Throw him away and come back to me. His voice was low, like a spell, so full of pull that I nearly gave in. Just a little more and I would have. After all these years apart, Ethan was still exactly my type. After the ceremony, my old friends came to toast me one after another, and I ended up drunk. Later, I remember running off to the stairwell and sitting down. No matter how much of a racket there was outside, the stairwell was always the quietest place. Ethan came looking for me. Why are you sitting here? I turned my head to look at him, pressed my lips together, and then burst into tears. Ethan, I'm so tired. Ethan took it upon himself to drive me home. I just kept crying and couldn't manage to get out of the car, so in the end, he carried me. I'm so tired. Working day after day, when is it ever going to end? Yesterday, a customer even threw wine all over me. It was so cruel, and it clearly wasn't my fault. Ethan, I want sashimi and sweet shrimp. Boo-hoo. I'm forgetting what they even taste like. Loosened up by the alcohol, I babbled on and on. Ethan soothed me patiently, but nothing he said got through to me. Finally, he settled me onto the sofa and asked who that man really was. Muddled, I answered, He pays for me? I can do that too, Emily. I'm better than him. I know what you like and what you hate. I know how to make you happy. Emily, please, I'm begging you, never disappear on me again. All right? After that, I don't remember a thing. The next day, I woke up in Ethan's bed without a stitch on. On the table sat every kind of sashimi, along with a plate of oranges cut into little wedges. Ethan said, I called in for the day off for you. You don't have to work today. Oh. I sat down. Then I shot upright. You took leave for me? I told your boss. What? My boss is going to get the wrong idea. Between us, it's all real. What is there to misunderstand? I had nothing to say to that. Nothing at all. I asked your boss. You became a programmer just so the side jobs would be easier to fit in? Yes, programmers get paid well, but there's always overtime. My odd jobs actually pay more. Starting next month, you go back to being a full-time programmer and you drop all those other jobs. I can't. I turned him down as gently as I could. It's been a while. I'm out of practice with the code. That's fine, I'll teach you all over again. He bent his head, focused, peeling a shrimp, dipping it in a little seasoning, and setting it in my bowl, just like before. He always peeled every shrimp for me with such care. The truth was, I wasn't much good at programming in college, but I had a genius boyfriend who tutored me for free. I want to, but I really can't, I said in a small voice. I've honestly forgotten it all. Ethan scrawled a few lines on a sheet of paper and sat down beside me. These are the basics. I'll help you get it all back. In that moment, it felt as if I had truly gone back to the past. My boy was sitting beside me, gently walking me through the lesson. Once we'd eaten, I got ready to head home, and I wouldn't let Ethan drive me. I was standing dazed at the subway station when out of nowhere I got a text from Vanessa. Emily, please stop hurting Ethan, okay? What do you mean? The truth is, all these years, he's wanted to pay you back. Pay back what? The money. Vanessa sent me a screenshot. In the college roommate group chat, Ethan had written, It's paid off, feels good. The others congratulated him. Finally free of that burden. You'll feel a lot lighter from here on out. Ha ha. I stood there blank. I'd gotten a message too. The debt was paid off. Who had paid it? Ethan. The blood in my veins seemed to stop. My hand, holding the phone, trembled. It all came back to me. Ethan searching for me until he nearly lost his mind. After we met again, promoting me, raising my pay. Everything he'd said, everything he'd done. even last night. So it had all been repaying a debt. That was all it was. That was it then. Back at the lounge, Vanessa had said he hated me most of all. Maybe that was the real truth. Ethan didn't like owing anyone. From the very start, I'd only ever been a stone lodged in his heart, just a creditor. In that moment, a bottomless grief rose up, as if to swallow me whole. I didn't even know how I could possibly blame him. 8 years ago, I was the one who dragged him down to stand in the same place as me, and after that, there was no going back. He was upright. Of course, he'd never let himself enjoy what I'd given him. Polite about it right up to this day. But he could have just forgotten. Something like a nameless anger welled up in me, and my fingertips shook as I texted Ethan. Who gave you permission to pay off my debt? Isn't it good that it's paid? Now you don't have to work so much. I don't need it, Ethan. Don't be stubborn. Honestly, I should have done it sooner. I always wanted to pay you back the hospital fees for Grandpa while he was still alive. His words were like a thorn driven deep into my heart. I'll pay you back bit by bit. From now on, apart from work, let's not contact each other. Ethan called me over and over, but I didn't pick up. I took another day off and shut myself in my bedroom until the sky went black, as if trying to sleep off every hour of rest I'd ever lost. The next morning, my mother told me Ethan had stood downstairs waiting the whole night. I took the subway to work, and Ethan left his Porsche behind and rode the subway right alongside me. That evening, I still went to my side job at the lounge as usual. He rented a private room and sat by the door, watching me come and go, like a stone statue that had learned to walk. Wherever I went, he went. It repeated day after day. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Stop following me. If I don't follow you, you'll disappear. He counted off on his fingers. Disappear to another city. Disappear into a stairwell. Disappear by not answering your phone. How do you expect me to relax? I choked up. I promise I'll pay you back. I won't disappear again. There has to be some trust between people. Ethan frowned. What are you talking about? You don't need to pay me back. He went right on being my shadow, all the way until Friday, when he didn't show up. Vanessa called me in a fury. Ethan was in the hospital. He'd gotten into a fight with Marcus. It had started because the two of them attended a business banquet that day. They weren't at the same table, so maybe Marcus didn't see him. Someone brought up how the Shaw family had gone into hiding. Marcus sneered, "Old man Shaw has a daughter named Emily. Pretty little thing. She used to be hard to catch, but she's a lot easier these days. Isn't her family still drowning in debt? I promised to pay off Emily's debt, and she came trotting after me like a good girl. A woman like that, no matter how much you spend to buy her, it's no loss." Before he could finish, Ethan's fist was already flying. In front of so many industry people, he dared to hit the young master of the Vaughn family. Outside the clinic, Vanessa was still laying into me. Ethan has no one to back him. He built everything he has on his own, and it was harder for him than for anyone. And now he's gone and made enemies because of you. Vanessa's temper flared. Emily, if you can't help him, then at least don't hurt him, all right? Hurt him? Vanessa, what gives you the right to blame me? Vanessa was taken aback. You two are just partners, I said. Didn't you agree you wouldn't meddle in each other's private lives? He told you even about this? Vanessa was stunned, and before long her eyes went red and brimming, the picture of wronged innocence. Emily, I know Ethan and I only have a working arrangement, but I truly do like him. You've been gone so long. Why not stay gone for good and give him back to me? You like him. That's right. This I hadn't seen coming. But back then, weren't you the ringleader who spread all those rumors about Ethan at school? Vanessa's face went white in an instant. I disappeared, I said. I didn't lose my memory. I looked at her coldly. After Ethan was with me, you once cornered me in the bathroom. Do you still remember what you said? You said, Emily, how much money did you have to spend to keep Ethan as your kept man? Vanessa looked frightened. I remember. And later, someone dared to call Ethan a kept man right to his face. Did you forget that too? That ugly nickname started with you, didn't it? No, you're smearing me. I don't understand the rules of your industry, but if word got out that a famous artist once bullied a classmate, what would your fans think? Emily. Vanessa's voice rose. Now who's the one making things up? Fine. Let me go find a few friends to come and testify. She deflated like a punctured balloon. I'm begging you, Emily. However much money you want, just tell me. Only don't bring this up again, all right? And don't tell Ethan. I was young and foolish back then. I hurt him. But now I sincerely, truly like him. I can make it up to him. You still think all you did was hurt him? I was speechless. I shook my head. Vanessa, you hurt me too. I'm sorry. She panicked. I'm begging you, Emily, don't tell Ethan about any of this. Don't ruin the image he has of me. Before she could get the words out, the curtain over the clinic door was suddenly yanked aside. Ethan stood there. It looked as though he'd been standing there for a long time. When Vanessa was sent away, she wandered off like a lost soul. Ethan was not a generous man. He resented those old rumors, so of course he'd show Vanessa no mercy. Ordinarily, Ethan wasn't one to use crude language, but he was a genius who could terrify a person without a single foul word. Vanessa probably wouldn't dare face him again after this. Are you all right? I looked at Ethan. He was only lightly hurt, and it had already been treated. Will it affect your company? Don't worry, it's nothing, but Marcus needed stitches, money well spent. May he end up disfigured. Ethan laughed. That's more like it. What? That's the you I know. It's been a long time since you talked so freely. Go on, say some more. I want to hear it. Damn businessmen, every one of them a crook. What else? Pork prices are up again. How is anyone supposed to live? Good. Keep going. Damn overtime. I want to stay home, watch my shows, and sleep in. Are you blaming me? No, I wouldn't dare. You dare. The sunlight caught on every falling snowflake. The two of us bickered the whole way, as if we'd suddenly been dropped right back into college. I let out every grievance I'd swallowed over the years. And when I was done, I was sobbing again. Will you wait for me? I'll pay you back. Ethan got flustered all over again. What are you saying? And before, why were you so angry that I paid off your debt without asking? It was wrong of me, yes, but you can't just freeze me out either. You treat me like a burden. How could I dare bother you? A burden? Ethan frowned. Who said that? Vanessa. I stopped short. Wait, was she sowing discord between us? But the screenshot had to be real. I scrolled back through the chat history. Ethan saw it and was furious. The person I was talking about wasn't you. He pulled up the chat history on his own phone. He told his roommate that he'd cleared the company's overdue payments, and then those lines came after. Somehow Vanessa had gotten hold of the chat and cut and doctored it. But how had she known he wanted to pay off my debt? He'd once asked her about it, because she had experience paying off other people's debts. Ethan drove me to his place. It was my third time here, but this time my mood was completely different from the other two. This time let's get everything out in the open. Ethan poured me a cup of coffee. Emily, there's a lot I want to ask you. Go ahead. Why did you break up with me? I'd become a burden. I turned it over and over in my mind, and breaking up just seemed better. It wasn't because you'd gotten bored of me? I went blank and suddenly remembered. Bored had been my reason back then. After I said that line, Ethan hadn't even turned his head. He'd walked straight off. He said he thought I saw him as a plaything, that after a few years I got bored of him, and on top of that came the family disaster. And since he couldn't help me with anything, I simply didn't need him anymore. Why would you think that? I opened my mouth, but before I could answer, Ethan got there first. Even if that was true, it's all right. I was afraid to hear the answer, so I'll lay my cards down first. Emily, I've thought it all through. Even if I'm nothing but a toy, I want to stay by your side forever. Ethan's eyes glistened, exactly like they had all those years ago. It took me a while to fully take in his words. You misunderstood, didn't you? That was just something I said in anger. Ethan, I never once saw you as a toy. I truly loved you. Then why say it in anger? The day before graduation, you told your roommate you wouldn't marry me. Now it was Ethan's turn to go blank. He thought about it, and finally gave a laugh caught somewhere between crying and smiling. What I meant back then was that I just graduated. I didn't have the means to marry yet. The truth is, I'd started looking at diamond rings ages ago. I just genuinely couldn't afford one. We'd both been misunderstanding each other. Why did it happen? Mostly because the real gap in our circumstances was so wide. Ethan believed my helping him was just me chasing amusement, and I thought Ethan only stayed by my side out of guilt, that he had no choice. I never believed he loved me. Ethan asked, Emily, why would you rather accept Marcus's help than let me pay? Because I like you. I didn't want us to have that kind of relationship. And suddenly it all became clear. Ethan nodded. Exactly. My feelings back then were just like yours are now. Wait, when I confessed to you, you liked me too? That's right, Emily, I liked you. In fact, I liked you before you ever liked me. The very first time we met at orientation, you said, I'm Emily. And I kept it in my heart. Ethan told me the story, letting me get to know my own foolish younger self all over again. He'd fallen for me first. He was only one step behind in confessing. My approach had been a mistake from the very beginning. I'd tempted him with the very thing he lacked most, which only made it harder for him to speak. The truth was, he'd told me many times that he liked me, but no one believed him. Everyone assumed his words were fake, that he was just flattering me to keep me happy. Over time, even I believed it, and even he almost believed it was true. Was the one he loved Emily, or the medicine money for his grandfather? After countless times being laughed at, countless times feeling the distance between us, even Ethan couldn't be sure anymore. He was torn and hopeful all at once, torturing himself day after day. Anyone at all could help him. Only I couldn't, because money would poison love. Ethan didn't have to be so strong. He could have simply stayed at my side in peace, but he wouldn't. And that was exactly why he was the boy I loved. Ethan picked up an orange and began to cut it slowly. I suddenly thought back to the day we met again. What had he meant by those words? So I can say things in anger, but you can't? I thought you'd gotten bored and dumped me, and then vanished for 4 whole years. Can I be angry? Seems I can, but Vanessa said you hate me. I'm sorry, that was my fault. I never got the chance to set her straight. Ethan calmly sliced each wedge of orange and let out a soft sigh. In any case, I really did think you didn't need me anymore. Snow drifted past the window. Inside the room, it was warm and tender all at once. In that moment, at last, I dared to be certain. Through all the currents of time, that boy had always been running toward me. On the school's founding anniversary, Ethan and I went back to campus. He represented the outstanding graduates and took the stage to give a speech. There will always be young ones coming up. There will always be those who charge ahead for the sake of an ideal. My graduate name tag slipped out of my pocket, and a 4th-year student picked it up for me. She said in surprise, "You're Emily? How do you know her?" "I'm an intern at Director Cole's company. You're famous there." "Really?" I'd once gone to Ethan's company and sat waiting for him at the reception desk. When the receptionist registered my name, she'd reacted the exact same way. "You're Emily?" To this day, I don't know why. The girl said that in one of the company's projects, there was an algorithm. Word was that Ethan had written it while building the system, and he'd left a note with it. "If you ever meet Emily, please tell her for me. I love her. Everyone who took that algorithm read the line. I stood there stunned for a long while. The girl chattered on happily. It's amazing. He finally found the person he was searching for. After the speech, Ethan and I followed the trail of our memories and walked slowly along until we reached the front of the library. Ethan looked at the old tree on the left. This is where you confessed to me that year. Yes, I was really brave back then. He gazed at it, dazed, as if the memory had drifted far, far away. Ethan, were you happy in college? You struggled so much, you were mocked and you were lonely. I think you probably weren't happy. But Ethan said, I was very happy because you were there, and every bit of the pain turned into happiness. He turned to face me, and just like that year, he lowered his eyes to look at me. Emily, now let me be the one to say it. For nearly 8 years, I've loved you. Will you give me a chance? Snow began to fall again, settling on his hair. I smiled and said, Happy New Year. I hope you'll show me the way. Happy New Year, my boy. Happy New Year, my youth. There were regrets. But even so, we were always the very best versions of ourselves. Now, here's how it all looked from Ethan's side. The first time I ever saw Emily was at orientation. She wore a white dress and walked down a sunlit corridor, and from that moment on, every memory and every fantasy of mine took on her exact shape. I liked her. But I knew she and I were not the same. We belonged to two separate worlds. She was the princess in the ivory tower, honest and simple. She had never once set foot in the ordinary, dusty world. She was the bright page, the thing I could scarcely reach, the root of all my inferiority. How could I dare to dream of her? Even a little dreaming felt like a mortal sin. My parents died when I was very young, and my grandfather raised me all on his own. Last winter, the cold crippled his leg, and he could no longer work to support the family. The whole weight of it fell onto my shoulders. I needed tuition, and I needed medicine money for Grandpa. After my name was struck off the list of grant recipients, I was all but shoved into the abyss, and I began to doubt whether there was any fairness in the world. I never expected that the moonlight would shine down on me right at that moment. The instant she said she liked me, the blood in my body seemed to stop. But when she said that a kiss could earn extra money, something in me died, and I dropped straight into an icy chasm. What did she take me for? Someone who'd stay by her side just because she spent money? And yet Emily's eyes were too pure, without the slightest hint of playing a game. I refused her, until Grandpa fell gravely ill and had to be moved to intensive care, and the towering hospital fees flattened me. Emily appeared. She quickly pressed the money into my hands, then smiled and asked, Will you date me? This time I didn't refuse. Not because of the hospital fees, but because she was pouting and coaxing me, and I simply could not say no. Later, I came to understand that Emily's life had been too smooth. She didn't even realize that having money was an advantage. When she helped me, it wasn't to show off some strength of hers. In her eyes, money wasn't even a strength. Money was just money. That was why she was purer than anyone. Emily liked me so much. Everywhere we went, she wanted to hold my hand. Her hand was small and soft, without a single callus. I was terrified the rough calluses on my own hands would hurt her, but Emily loved to hold my hand and rub her thumb against it. Sometimes I felt like a knight. The princess had to tell me to act before one dared to act. If she stayed silent, I didn't dare go near her on my own. But Emily was forward too, and her forwardness never put anyone off. If anything, it radiated sincerity and honesty. But little by little, rumors began to circulate at school. Even the teacher who had always thought highly of me hinted that I should mind my morals. I liked Emily, but I didn't want to become the kind of person their words made me out to be. I kept wanting to break it off, and I kept being unable to bear it. Who could bear it? Not me. She was the best thing there was. The rumors only grew uglier. I buried myself in books and work and tried to ignore them. But one day, Emily's father came to find me. Keeping it from Emily, he told me to leave her. He said I wasn't worthy of their family. Of course I refused. No matter how many times he threatened me, as long as Emily didn't give me up, I would never let go of her hand. I wanted to prove myself. I could love Emily, and I could give her a good future, too. Whatever other women had, she would have as well. A roommate gave his girlfriend a bracelet, so Emily had to have one, too. I threw myself into deliveries and tutoring like a madman, and finally scraped together enough to buy Emily a bracelet. But I'm sorry, my love. I can't come to your birthday party. If my showing up would only get you laughed at, I would rather not come at all. In the blink of an eye, senior year arrived. Somehow, I found myself looking at diamond rings, but they were far too expensive. I couldn't afford even a fraction of one, so I had to make Emily wait a little longer. Plenty of companies were sending me high-paying offers, and if someone would invest, I wanted to start my own business. Someday, step by step, I'd be able to afford the diamond ring and the house and the wedding dress, everything she loved. The big bosses approved of my idea, and there was a good chance I'd be getting a raise. Just as I was about to tell Emily the good news, she said she wanted to break up. She said she was bored of me. In that moment, I felt like a complete fool. What had I been hoping for? For the moonlight to take pity on a lowly creature like me? No, I was only ever a toy. I left in a rage and locked myself away for 2 days. Then I realized I couldn't be without Emily. A toy is a toy. All I had to do was be better than the other toys. I went looking for Emily, and then I realized she was gone. Completely gone. I quit my job and asked around everywhere, traveling to a strange city to chase down any news of her. But every time she'd run so fast that she left not a single trace behind. Then I heard her family had gone bankrupt. I had no money. I couldn't pay off her debt. Was that why she'd left me? For the first time, I hated myself that deeply. Having burned through all my savings, I had no choice but to go back to the capital, where I stayed at a friend's place and began developing the system. Bit by bit, I built up more connections and came to understand the Shaw family situation better. Slowly, I sobered up and I understood one thing. Bankruptcy is not just a word. Emily's ivory tower had collapsed, and she had fallen into a strange and ordinary world. Was she all right now? That's how I was. Angry at her and worried for her, both at once. I still couldn't find Emily. To escape their creditors, her family had changed their names. I bought so many of the things Emily used to like. The hand cream, the perfume she wore. I bought whole sets of them, a whole bag of skincare, so that if she ever came back, she could keep using them. Senior year, Emily vanished, and at last, I found her again. That night, I deliberately left the latest of anyone, waiting for her to get off work, and then I followed her. The elevator went from the second floor down to the ground, just a few short minutes, but it stretched longer than the 20-odd years of my whole life. Why did she pretend not to know me? Why did she always want to run? Did she really not want to see me that much? Even knowing I'd be hated for it, I called out to her. She raised her eyes, and at last I saw her whole face. She was much thinner than before, and the light in her eyes was not what it had been. When she talked with Vanessa, I just stared at her face and nearly forgot to breathe. What surprised me most was that I never expected she'd be working so many jobs, just like I had back then. There were calluses on her hands, and the sight of them almost made me cry. Heaven knows, no matter how hard things got before, I never once shed a tear. But the calluses on Emily's hands made my eyes sting. Emily said she had a boyfriend, I didn't believe it until that worthless man appeared right in front of me. I wanted to hit him. I've always been an upright man, but this time I wanted to do something without a shred of decency, for my own sake. I wanted to win Emily back. I wasn't poor anymore. I could give her a better life, and there was no need to fret over those debts. Right now, I know my own heart perfectly well. I like Emily. I like the purity she had in the past, and I like the resilience she has now. In some ways, the two of us are very much alike. Another new year arrived. Emily asked me, "What do you think is the strongest thing in the whole world?" I said, "Moonlight." She didn't understand and looked out the window, but she didn't know that I was looking at her. I once believed the moonlight had vanished, but then I watched her fall and rise again and again, and life could never beat her down. Why moonlight? She was still gazing foolishly out the window, because even when it falls into the deepest despair, the moonlight never disappears. I kissed her forehead. You're the moonlight, and I'll never stop loving you. Thank you all for listening.